Hi folks, so reading from History of the Wilderlands from the Player's Guide to the Wilderlands. History and politics. Generally, people know little history beyond what has happened in their lifetime or the lifetime of their living parents, which in the Wilderlands is rarely more than an 80-year span of time. People in the Wilderlands have much more immediate concerns, and most have not travelled more than 40 miles from their place of birth. Any knowledge of history or politics by the populace centres around the major northern cities: Viridistan, the city-state of the invincible overlord, Tarantus, and the city-state of Valon. The southern cities of Tula and Ralu are legendary to most northerners and are the stuff of wild speculation, as is the kingdom of Karak and its capital of Popolva, or Popolvur as the Karakans spell it. See the cities chapter for more on these locations. The following history is a general overview of the history of the Wilderlands since the founding of Viridistan. This general history, while not commonly known to most denizens of the Wilderlands, is at least available to be learned. The information given here is from the point of view of the scholars and scribes of the city-state of the invincible overlord. History prior to the founding of Viridistan is detailed in the Judge's history below, though some general details are known to players and are detailed here. See the Judge's history section below and the timeline section below for more information. Note, portions of the history related below refer to cities and geographic features that are not on the player's map. The Uttermost War. Few know what it entailed or when it was, but all know that it existed. It is rumoured to be a battle in great antiquity in which the gods themselves participated. Legends tell that a great race called the Markrabs, as well as great dragons, fought against one another with races that no longer exist. The Holy Cities. The circle of the 5 above-ground villages and their accompanying caverns are known as the Holy Cities, a location sacred to the god Micah. Legends tell that the Holy Cities have existed since the creation and were totally incinerated in the Uttermost War, aeons ago, but have been since rebuilt. The Empire of Kelnor. In ancient times, following the Uttermost War, there arose a great kingdom called the Kingdom of Kelnor. Its capital was known as the Ivory City, and is believed to be near modern Tarantus. It is said that this great kingdom covered most of the Wilderlands, and that many of the ruins that abound in the lands are from that ancient kingdom. Ginoran successor states. Sometime during the Empire of Kelnor, a great prince led a number of states in succeeding from the empire, founding what came to be known as the Ginoran successor states. The remnants of these successor kingdoms can be found in the south and west of the Wilderlands, in the cities of Lanap, Plan, and Jim, as well as the northern kingdom of Damkina, which reportedly were ancient capitals. The War of the Pious and Philosophers. In ancient history, whether before or after the fall of Kelnor, it is not known, there was another great war again involving the gods themselves, though this war was instigated by the followers of the gods. There came in the lands an essential rift between those who promoted the gods and arcane powers called the pious, and those who sought to abandon those forces and seek the ways of science and learning, called the philosophers. It is said that at that time the philosophers matched with machinery what many priests and wizards could accomplish with magic and faith. After much destruction and a near annihilation of the existing civilizations, the gods intervened and the pious emerged successful, throwing away much learning and scholarly study. The lands were thrown into a dark age. The Dragon Kings. Though the time of their reign is not accurately known, whether it was before or after the War of the Pious and the Philosophers, it is believed that a great kingdom once existed where the city-state is now built, and that they were led by a series of dragon kings. The dragon kings are believed to be the ancient Orichalans, who have been hunted to near extinction. The only remnant of this kingdom is the markings on the calendar obelisk found in excavations done in the city-state. The Dragon Kings ruled the area, it is believed, from 575 until 2927 BCC. BCCC, according to the Chronicles of the Dragon Kings. Some believed their rule was actually far older than the dates mentioned, and that those dates are in error. It is unknown how or why their kingdom came to an end. Viridistan founded, known history begins. Most known history in the Wilderlands starts here, with the founding of the Viridistan and the creation of the Viridian Empire. Known as the city-state of the World Emperor, the Immortal City, the City of Vines and the City of Spices, Viridistan was founded in 101 BCCC, predating the founding of the city-state by approximately 3,000 years. Like the city-state would be, Viridistan too was founded on the ruins of an ancient city that, according to legend, was destroyed ages and ages ago in the Uttermost War. Its founders, the Viridians, were a short, stocky people with green skin, rumoured to be the descendants of the union of gods themselves and merfolk. The Viridians defeated and subjugated the mermen of Trident Gulf and the wild men, now known as Tharbrians, at the Battle of Freeman Fields, and founded their great city, Viridistan. So began their cruel empire, and the subjugation of many races. The rest of the Wilderlands at that time consisted of mostly savage remnants of civilizations. Valon founded. In 120 BCCC, Valon was founded to the south of the Great Glacier by ice wizard priests of the god Aram Kor. Due to their isolationist nature and relation with the mer-elves of the Uther Pentwagon Sea, the eventual city-state of Valon remained aloof from the upcoming power struggles between Viridistan, the Tharbrian wild men, and the city-state. Winged apes. According to the ancient legends or tomes, around 971 BCCC, just as civilization was beginning to take hold in other parts of the Wilderlands, a horde of winged apes flew into the region where the city-state now stands. They crossed the plateau of Bendigroth, the Cloudwall Mountains, and the Mermist Marshes near what is now the city-state. They then turned south and wandered through the lands of barbarian Altanis for many months before going back from whence they came. Through their entire circuit, they left a broad swath of death and destruction, burned fields and villages, massacred armies, slaughtered herds, and fouled springs and streams where once sweet water flowed. Tharbrian migration. For over 1,000 years since the victory of the Viridians over the Tharbrians, wild men, at Freeman Fields in 101 BCCC, the Tharbrians gradually withdrew from their ancient homelands of the Targnol and Xerxes plains and the hills between, leaving them to a patchwork quilt of succeeding races, human and otherwise. In that time, the culture of the Tharbrians had gently adapted to the life of the horse nomad. Lesser hordes of Tharbrians have periodically swept through the lands of the city-states, grazing their vast herds of horses and avoiding any contact with settlements. Such lesser migrations occur about 7 or 8 times every 100 years and follow predictable routes along lines of least resistance. The first Tharbrian invasion. The first of the invasions of Viridistan by the Northern Horsemen came in 1333 BCCC. Since the Northerners were unfamiliar with the lay of the land, they were caught in an awkward position on Bendigroth by 2 imperial vast hosts from Viridistan and were slaughtered by the thousands. These were the days of the strength of the World Emperor, and upon hearing word of the great victory he commanded a 10-day festival. The battle was loudly heralded in many heroic songs, and legends grew of the awesome might of the vast hosts. The second Tharbrian invasion. The Tharbrians returned in 1759 to 1760 BCCC, but followed a different path. On this journey they followed the north coast, burning one quiet fishing village after another. They encountered a teeming port city on whose ruins the town of Warwick now stands, and laid patient siege to it. When supplies continued to come into the city by sea, the wild men stormed the walls. The city was taken at frightful cost due to the Tharbrians' inexperience in such matters, and it was destroyed so completely that, when the horde trotted off to the south, not one stone lay on top of another. Yet the horde had lost too many men to be much of a further threat, and upon being found and decimated by dwarves from the majestic fastness, they turned and withdrew down the ancient Emperor's Way through the majestic mountains. Tarantus founded. As the above events unfold on the Pazadan Peninsula and to the east towards Rudistan, the city of Tarantus was founded on Dahut Bay, very near to the ruins of the legendary Ivory City, the capital of the ancient empire of Kelnor, which fell to ruin over 5,000 years ago. Tarantus was founded in 1792 BCCC, 2,541 years ago, by two nomadic tribes, the Gishmesh tribe and the Paldorian clan, whose ancestors participated in the sack of the ancient capital of Kelnor in its final days. The Gishmesh tribe originated just south of the Lake of the Crown Beast and followed the Azurane River, finally selecting the present location of Tarantus on which to settle and build a permanent base for their raiding operations. The Paldorian clan, skilled sailors and fishermen, originally lived southeast of Tarantus but moved up the river to find better fishing. The merging of these two disparate clans was the result of numerous raids upon the Paldorians by the Gishmesh. Over the course of time, due to intermarriage and increasing familiarity to one another, peace was declared. The raids ceased and members of the two tribes became merged into one group, though the aggressive Gishmesh was still the dominant force. Originally only a cluster of dwellings and a few mercantile and craft establishments protected by earthworks, the growing city found an increased need for protection after several raids by the ruthless Karjulan, a nomadic tribe east of the area of Tarantus, between 1882 and 1885 BCCC, nearly obliterated the town. In 1885 BCCC, the city of Tarantus was officially laid out, rebuilt, and fortified with high stone walls for protection. In that year also, the first hereditary monarch came to power and began to organize the existing government of Tarantus. However, the dominant strain of the aggressive Gishmesh made total rule impossible. The government only managed to restrain total anarchy in this raucous city, not to control it. The third Tharbrian invasion. In 2097 BCCC, the wild men came again in even greater numbers. They encountered one imperial vast host in the Elef territories near Pak Cave and destroyed it, pursuing and murdering the fleeing survivors all the way south to Shimatri Vale, where they gave up the chase and turned back. They found themselves caught in the bite of the Sharin River, and a river which has since been called Flea. There, in Glint Valley, they turned back to find another way east, and were converged upon by three imperial vast hosts, and entire vast throngs of crack mercenaries, and the once beautiful valley became a killing ground. There are 5 great and ugly hills in that valley now, each consisting of 10,000 charred skeletons. The valley gained its name because a light cavalry scout from the imperial forces first detected the Tharbrian horde by spotting reflected sunlight from their arrayed helmets. After that terrible slaughter, it was the Tharbrians' turn to flee before a vengeful pursuing enemy. The greater portion of the wild men fell back to the north. Their pursuers broke off at the plain of Leth. Another group of Tharbrians fled south, harried at every turn by vast hosts that seemed to them to rise out of the ground, through Brotbuckle briars, along the eastern foothills of the Star Crag Mountains, through the Berserker wilds and bestial barrens, through the haunting range at the pass of Dita, and into the blistering dunes. By this time, most scholars estimate the faction of Tharbrians numbered less than 1,000. They scattered into the desert, and, upon finding that they were no longer pursued, turned back into the southern foothills of the haunting range. In the narrow strip of grasslands between mountain and desert, they formed a new tribe and became peaceful and prosperous. They eventually adopted a matriarchal hierarchy among local sedentary communities. I'll continue in another video.